This episode contains discussion of emotional and psychological abuse as well as reference to sexual acts, which may be triggering or difficult for listeners. The content shared reflects the lived experiences of our guests and is intended for educational and awareness purposes only. Listener discretion is advised. If you are currently experiencing abuse or need support, please reach out to a trusted professional, therapist, counselor, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for confidential assistance.
Yeah, the whole day. He came, I heard him come and not sneak, but it came quietly into the room at like 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. It's probably a sneak. That's appropriate for 3 a.m.
Well, I think it just came from he spent the day with them and then time with her at night and then just comes to me at 3 a.m. And so I'm quiet. I didn't say nothing. I was just laying there because I didn't have the strength to. I still was couldn't get the visual of my mother in her casket out of my head. I didn't want to talk about anything else. I didn't want to talk about it, and then indigo, all of my children have been natural births. So I just, I have no medication. So I just finished pushing out a baby natural and I'm breastfeeding and I'm tired. So I didn't have anything to talk about. And so she ended up going back home and I went home and, went some weeks with the same thing of, he would go sit outside on the patio and be talking to her and this and that. So pretty much he's trying to have a poly relationship. So he's being with his wife, but he's still talking to and trying to wheel in this woman to
But
be
it
the second
sounds
wife.
like he's building an emotional connection, like he's over there falling in love.
Absolutely. And so a very significant thing that stood out for me, after 6 weeks, you start engaging in sex again and things of that nature. So after I heal up, me and him are intimate. And I remember, I will not forget this smell. I ended up getting the symptoms of a bacterial infection and it was horrible. I went to the doctor and the doctor's like, well, you just had a baby. Have you and your partner had any other partners? And I just told her, I said, well, he did. I just said it. I ain't feel like, just ma'am, give me my medicine because I already know where this is from.
Right.
And so I had to get on medication for 7 days. And I went home after seeing the doctor and I was holding my baby. She was just a few weeks. And my son, who had to be maybe 9 or 10 at the time, he came and sat next to me and was looking at the baby. And then he said, Mommy, what's that smell? And I just started bawling, crying. There are no words for, and I just had it. He was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I just said, Mommy just needs a moment going. I closed the door and I just held my baby and I just rocked and cried because I knew that I was in a mess. I was in a mess. My body is affected. I just had a baby and I'm intimate with him one time and get a horrifying bacterial infection. It was,
sorry.
this is when I'm getting to the point of I knew something deeper was going on. Even though I could not define it at the time, there was something deeper going on than just, I don't want to end my marriage. There was something missing because it doesn't make sense. At this point, it's like, girl, just leave. I spend the next couple of years in depression, but I'm operating. I'm functional.
A lot of people are functioning with anxiety, functioning with depression, functioning with PTSD, functioning with all these things.
Oh yeah. I didn't know that was coming, but I didn't realize it at the time. But he did, and there was a couple times he mentioned, well, maybe going to therapy, because after that situation ended, where I was like, I'm done. It's going to be me or her, because I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm not doing it. And he let it go for as much as I know that door closed.
But it's interesting he was talking about therapy, not really and truly for you, but so that he could keep things the way he wanted them.
It was a lot of cruelty. A lot of cruelty in that. And I saw it amongst, I saw it amongst situations with other women as well.
Okay, what do you mean by
Like
that
even in
when you
that
say cruelty?
yeah, even in that situation, he ended it like, he could tell, and she didn't really want Polly. She wanted what our relationship was. So her
Mhm.
hopes was that me and him would end up ending, and then that she would have the relationship with him.
Mhm.
And so finally, she came out and confessed that, and then he ended the relationship. But I'm like, I told you this months ago that this woman does not want to be Polly. She just
Mhm.
saw us on social media, and she wants what it appears that we have.
So, talk to me about this social media presence for her to see y'all.
At the time, I was doing Solistic Wellness Healing, and so I would have different posts and different things of that nature, but this was a huge part, and I'm glad you asked that question because I forgot to mention it because it was a huge argument all the time. He posts a lot on Solistic, on social media, specifically on Facebook. Um, and he talks about a lot of different things. I don't know now, but I know just during the marriage,
Mhm.
it was like this with social media, me and him button heads. I liked privacy. For
Yeah.
him, everything had to be on social media. Every disagreement, even if he didn't say it was us, he would do a subliminal. He would have conversations.
Mhm.
Sometimes he would flat out. People knew when we were into it, when we wasn't into it. He was flirting on there. And there were times that things did hit the fan where it was like, I can't deal with your social media. And I told him it's an addiction. Like you have an addiction to validation.
Yes, and attention, but that tells you something about him internally.
Yes, it was really, really hard. And this is what fed it. And so he will also do a lot of posts that would get attention from women. So it would be intentional kind of thirst things, even with
Mhm.
him being married and things that I found to be very inappropriate. I mean, so when I say really inappropriate, I mean like inappropriate, people see everybody got their different ways of what they feel is inappropriate. And I may be a little more serious,
Mhm.
but it will be different posts about how to eat a girl right,
Yeah, not
or
as a married
how
man, that
to
ain't your business. Unless
yes,
you and your
or
wife have a practice that's dedicated to say if you were like a sex therapist and he was certified in something, but he's just doing this, not
yes,
really
and
notification. It's inappropriate.
yeah, and so that was one of the things is that, we're married. These are things that bring people to your, DM or,
Those are the type of people he wanted to call. They knew he was married and they would pique their curiosity. It's all temptation. He was dangling the bait. So he already knows by the time they end up in his inbox, they're already primed and ready. You know what they came for.
yes, yes. And so, and I received warnings from people of, you're letting him connect with your business, but you do know everything he's doing is to attract women.
Mm-hmm.
And it was obvious. It was obvious. I saw it. But yes, social media was a huge deal
Mm-hmm.
in our household, in a constant argument. He couldn't take a break from it. And only one time did I get him to confess that he had a problem.
It's not social media that's the problem. You had a sex addiction, it sounds like.
Oh, for
He had
sure. Now
also
that is
a
for
lot
sure.
of unresolved trauma of his own.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was for sure. But it was like the first time that he ever said, I have a problem with social media. And he actually used the words like, I am addicted to likes. And I'm like, I'm glad
Okay.
that you see it. But he still just could barely ever take a break. Anything that we went through, everybody had to know it.
Mm-hmm.
He would talk about me in a negative manner at times if we were into it. There was no privacy,
Yeah.
none. That plays a big part of why I'm so private now, and I enjoy it so much.
Mhm.
I
Speak.
enjoy my privacy so much. But so yeah. So then this just get that we're getting to how divorce actually came around and how healing came around.
Okay.
So he decided when our youngest got around 5 or so that he was unhappy. And he was saying, you never, bring up sex.
Mhm.
I told you to go to therapy, this
I
and
told
that. And he was
you
like,
to go to therapy, not I'm gonna stop doing things to traumatize you. Just go big. Okay.
Just yeah, and he did tell me. He said, "I know that that whole poly stuff was a lot. Um, so if we're gonna move forward, we gotta move forward." And so, he wanted to separate, but in the same house.
Hmm.
So he moved upstairs.
So
Correct. We're in Texas. I moved here in 2011.
okay. So in Texas, in order to prepare for divorce, how long does a couple need to be separated, sleep in separate bedrooms before they can like petition for divorce?
Well, you can petition for divorce immediately.
Oh,
And
okay. So state for this, so like Maryland, you have to be like separated for like 6 months. It used to be a year before COVID. But
oh
like
no, we
some
don't have
states
that.
have these windows where you have to show that there has been a separation, not sharing the same marital bed. Okay.
You can just go downtown, file for divorce, and be divorced 60 days later.
What? Okay.
Yeah, if you're not fighting over anything.
Right.
If you're fighting over something,
Property,
it prolongs it.
custody, all of
If
that.
you're not, you can have a court date 60 days later and be done.
Mm, okay.
So,
Expedited.
um and so thinking you want to move upstairs. This is odd to me.
Mm.
And so that season, it ended up being over 4 months, it was another level of trauma. When you have somebody in the house ignoring you,
He completely ignored you too?
he would say hi and bye here and there, but most of the part time he would be gone.
What was his
Sometimes he wouldn't come
relationship?
home.
What was his
Yep. Sometimes
relationship
he
with the
wouldn't come
kids?
home at night at all,
Yeah.
or he would come home at like 3 in the morning. He moved upstairs and acted like he was a single man.
Right, but so then what did time with the kids and relationship with the kids look like throughout this, really?
I mean, and that's what I told him was unhealthy, you know, because he would still come home and play with the kids or talk to the kids or just basically everything's normal except I'm going to act like you don't exist, which is definitely a form of emotional abuse.
Oh, why? Like, what was he up to?
Well, we're about to get there right now.
Okay.
So, um, I say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead in the last straw, look for a therapist, but it's going to be marriage therapy.
Mm.
And this is going to be my last try and this and that. So I was working. I had good insurance to cover that, picked out a person. They did it virtual. We're both on. We go to 1 or 2 sessions, but I noticed that I can tell when he's talking to another woman. And I knew that him wanting to go upstairs played a part
Mhm.
in that process.
Yeah, he was building a
And
whole
so,
relationship.
yeah. And so I caught him. I overheard him talking in another room. And I said, you're talking to another woman. And him being his bold self was like, yes, I am. And I said, well, we're doing marriage therapy. Do you want it or not? And he was like, look, I'm talking to this person. I'm not apologetic about it. We separated. It is what it is. Time for therapy. Like an hour later or so, we get on, and I immediately tell the therapist that I found out that he's talking to someone else.
Mhm.
And we're supposed to be doing this therapy. How are we able to move forward? And the therapist he asked him, he said, is this true? And he was like, yes. And he was like, well, what do you want? He said, because if you're going to continue to talk to another woman, this is wasting y'all time, but this is wasting my time. If there's
Mm.
no goal, unless
Yeah.
you want to change this to divorce therapy, like assisting you guys in your process, it has to be an authentic goal.
Mhm.
What are we working towards here? And he just said, no, I'm not willing to stop talking to her. So we got fired by a therapist. He wished me the best.
Yeah.
He said, I wish you the best. And, that you good luck, on finding a therapist like just for you and on what your next steps are. I can't really comment about, what he just did, but it's clear.
Mhm.
So you just have to make your choice from here. So that was a process. Because he's always been very bold. It just got way more bold over time
Mhm.
to an extreme, just unapologetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to somebody. So, no, I'm not going to stop.
Because at what point had you really challenged him?
Not at all.
Yeah.
So then you end up having, like we talked about, some of those flaring red flags in the beginning. And if you let things go, man, over years, you can end up with with the monster that
Yeah,
you
you're
created,
feeding it. Mhm.
the monster that you are feeding. And so, this is what brought things to the end.
Okay.
So so we got fired from a therapist, which was kind of crazy for me.
Mhm.
Um, and he went on about coming in and out whenever, not coming home at night. I would be in my room downstairs in the master bedroom, but I would hear the door open and hear him going upstairs. So he was just basically married, but he just made a choice to act like a roommate,
This
like
woman
immediate.
had to really be something. Cause what I hear and throughout this is that he had the ability to rise, right? Like I heard someone say that a man will rise or fall to the standards of the woman. And for
Hmm.
him to drastically say, you his wife, I'm gonna go stay upstairs and you find out he's talking to this woman, he's not letting this woman go. That to me tells me that one, the hunter in him was activated, right? Like that he's willing to work for a woman. And that woman likely said, well, if you wish your wife ain't nothing I can do, like, no, you still sleeping with her, no, like he will seem like it sounds like do whatever to get that thing he want, which he demonstrated with you. He got married because he wanted to have sex. Like sex is really and truly powerful.
Yes. Very powerful and very important, to him at all costs. But
Oh,
when it came to me, he would push and push until he really, for real, almost loses me. And then he brings it back together. And whoever he got to drop, he'll drop. But it has to get to the point where I'm really going to lose Sharon. And that happened at that point. It happened when I brought up the woman from the threesome,
mhm.
attempt. And she said, "Oh, we've been sleeping together." And when I really got to the point where he knew I was leaving, he called her and said, "You better not ever reach out to my wife again. If you do, I'm going to put that video I made of you all over social media." I never heard from that woman again.
So, wow, I just heard something even in that threat, going back to what you said about that cruelty. So he had insurance on these people. He had no problem with weaponizing this material.
Oh, yeah. But it was always, he knew that I wanted the marriage. So he
Mm-mm.
stood in this place of power until I would show that it would take me a whole lot.
Okay.
But when I was getting to a place of power, he could throw them away with cruelty. Or even the woman with the whole poly,
Yeah.
when it got down to it and she was saying, "I don't, I actually just wanted to be with you. I didn't want
Yeah.
poly and all this and that." They ended up having a hard falling out. And so then this situation comes around. Um, and so this is the end.
Mhm.
He lives upstairs. He's looking for a place to live.
Mhm.
He comes to me. It is April 28th,
Mm.
which 28 is a significant number for me, but it happened to be April 28th, 2022. I will not forget the day because it was a life-changing day for me.
Yeah.
He came and knocked on the door, on the master bedroom door as he separated, and he comes in and asked me, "Can we talk?" I said, "Sure, come on and we can talk." And he sits down and he tells me that, he's going to make plans to move out.
Okay.
And he found an apartment and
So he
he would like
made
to
plans. Not gonna make. He had made plans.
yes, he found an apartment and that he wanted to separate. And I said, "So you want to just separate and live in different places for you to what? Do whatever you want to do?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to be honest with you about the direction that I'm going in."
Oh,
And he let me know that he has not, what did he say? Because this is so significant. He said, "I'm not living my truth, and it is time for me to live my truth without guilt. If
now
me and
that's
you,
a really bold statement. I can only imagine which the many directions your mind might have gone in that moment.
honestly, I started to feel a shift energetically. As he began to talk, my spirit or something in me became to an attention. Even how I sat changed.
Mm.
I got into this neutral space where it wasn't good or bad.
Mhm.
It just was.
Mhm.
It was neutrality, and I felt it. I felt something take, like, within me that had been addressed or awakened, and I listened to him.
Mhm.
I listened to him without a lot of feeling or fleeting thoughts.
Okay.
or history or any of that. And he said, I want to get into dominatrix and BDSM,
Okay.
which I didn't know much about,
And can you
um,
educate our listeners and viewers just in case they don't know?
dominatrix and BDSM, and some people honestly can still educate me some on it.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, it has to do more with like submission and dominance in sex and, bondage, tying people up. Some can go to like pain, like
Mhm.
a lot of painful things. It's about control. Um, Sometimes like blindfolded or being whipped, but it's like another name for it. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's flogged. I don't know. But somebody, like I said, somebody could still educate me about it, but I knew that much.
Yeah.
And he didn't go there with me because that's not my thing. The most he tried to do, and he said that I have an issue with control because I'm not into that. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. Was like trying to tie me down. I
Mm.
don't like that feeling. And I had to tell him, and that was another thing, we didn't have the same values. So there were other women that was willing to do those things.
And I wonder how much of this came from porn, if this was the type of stuff he was watching.
Possibly.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it just has to do with power.
Yeah.
It has to do with
This is
power and
all about
control. And
power.
so at this time, there is no back and forth. He is talking and I am listening.
Mm.
And then I may have a follow-up question. I was very calm, just as calm as I'm talking to you right now.
Yep.
Like at the time he's telling me I want to get into domination. He said, I I want to do this as a business. And what really stood out to me is he said it's my spiritual calling to bring healing to women sexually is through BDSM. And I said, well, how are you going to heal women sexually by doing this, by tying them down and causing pain and things of that nature? And he was like, well, this is something that I'm just getting into studying, but I know that I can release trauma and healing. And he was like, healing women sexually is my calling.
Mhm.
And I would like for you to be a part of that, but I know that you're not comfortable with that. So if you feel like you need to file for divorce, then you do what you want to do. But I don't want a divorce. I would like for us to have a new experience. I would like to, he was like, I would like to separate for a while. And then I would like for us to come back together and be able to have a new experience. And I said, well, I said, during this time, I said, so you're pretty much openly, you're having sex with other people. What are your thoughts? Because at this time, I'm doing energy work and Reiki and things of that nature. And I said, not only doing energetic work, but also what has happened to me in the past with
Right.
bacterial infections and things of that nature. How are you going to have this plan and protect your wife? I'm just curious. I would like to know.
Mm.
He was like, well, there's other ways to do it. He said it doesn't always have to be penetration. There are ways of tying them. There's different things that can do to bring ecstasy to them that brings this healing. I said, so you want to bring this ecstasy to women and then come home to your wife and have a regular marriage. And he was like, well, me providing pleasure to another woman is not harming you. That's your control. That's your need to control me. And he said the same thing with threesomes. He was like, I'm no longer okay with that either because that's just you controlling me. I should be able to be free to choose who I want to have sex
Well, you
with.
don't need to be in a marriage.
That's what I said. So then you don't want to be married. And he said, well, there are different kinds, there are different types of relationship. I said, well, that's not the type of marriage that I want. And then I
Mm.
paused, and this was really significant. I paused and I said, excuse me for a moment.
Mm.
And it was like an out of body experience. It was as if I was watching myself.
Mhm.
I got up. It was almost like I watched myself go to the bathroom. I don't know.
Mhm.
I went to the bathroom. I got down on one knee in front of the toilet and I just started purging.
Mm.
I didn't know where it came from.
Mm.
I didn't know why I wasn't sick. I didn't have a stomach ache, nothing.
But you were sick.
Yeah. I just remember getting and I was just purging, purging.
Mhm.
And then I got up. I watched myself walk back. I sat down. I was so neutral. I just remember that emotion, that feeling of no feeling, actually. It's hard to explain that.
Mhm.
But I just calmly said, I choose to file for divorce. I made a choice. It's almost like something else made a choice for me. Said I filed for divorce. That was on April 28th. He moved out just his belongings on May 9th. So a couple days or a week later or so. And I filed for divorce on May 19th. Never had a moment of maybe we should work things out. Never flirted.
Mhm.
Never had feelings. Never missed him. Never have a moment of like, well, man, maybe when I purged that day, something happened. It's like I threw up all my feelings for him.
Mhm.
There was all kind of horrible, like a lot of the narcissistic abuse came out after I filed for divorce. But within myself, there was never a moment of, should I do this? Should I not? Man, I kind of miss this. There was nothing to miss. I filed for divorce on May 19th. I was working full time and doing well, but I'm like, I cannot deal with a lawyer. Like, God give me strength. Man, I used to go to the law library across the street. I went through a divorce by myself with no lawyer, paid no money, and was divorced 60 days later.
Amen.
He never signed any papers. I had to keep getting him served.
Mhm.
Um, I went to court by myself. Eventually, with him getting served 3 or 4 times, the judge just let me stand before him on my own, and I divorced.
Wow, so he's doing everything to try to keep you in the marriage that he actively sabotaged from the beginning.
Yeah, and this is what is significant with psychological abuse. There were many different moments where you can look at and say, "Oh, that's mental abuse," or all this and that. But after I filed for divorce, he came back to the house to come get the children, and he asked for them to, take a moment. He wanted to talk to me.
Mhm.
And this was such a significant moment. He said, I have an inbox full of women right now. And
Oh.
if you would be willing to give this a try, I can make all that go away. And I will make this right. I want my family back.
But Sharon, when in your history had it been right? You see how he tried to come and
It was never right.
okay, since you brought up the narcissistic abuse, because I heard it clearly in the divorce moment, right? So he had been doing his thing with this woman. Okay. It's so many parts, but I'm gonna stick to the one because my brain was starting to pick up on something else. But I know I got this part clearly.
Okay.
He came to you telling you, I'm making plans to move out, but he said, I have an apartment. That's a threat. When you're in a marriage, that is a threat. I'm leaving. He's trying to activate you.
Yes.
He's trying to destabilize you. He's trying to get you in a position of desperation so that you will be willing to take the foolishness he was next working to feed you. Because
I'm glad you saw that.
already, oh yeah, girl, I lived a version of this too. Where that threat is put, and then he knows your desires, he knows your values, and
Hmm.
narcissistic abuse and the talk about power, this works because he has the ability to control you. He had already thought this all the way through and what Sharon would do. And he thought in that moment you were gonna say, no, baby, let's work it out. Rah, 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 rah. And that calm, well, one, you purged. And that calm was like, no, thank you. He did not bank on that
Oh, no,
at
not
all
at all.
because he's been studying you for 16, 17 years at this point. He knows you.
Yeah.
He knows you.
Oh, yeah. So, like,
And that you will do what is good, what is right, what is aligned with your values, regardless of
hmm
the situation. So he could always count on you to be predictable, for you to be consistent. If this is a
hmm
person who violated and manipulated your authenticity, your vulnerability, as well as your that you'd stay true to the programming.
Yeah. And it was a shock. I know that it was to actually really go through with
Mhm.
it and file.
Yep.
And so it was significant when he said, I got this inbox full of women
Thread again.
and I can make them go away.
Come back.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And so when I said, no, I'm not going to do that, immediately,
His face.
the one that I know, okay, well, then you're going to lose everything.
More
You're
threats.
going to lose me. You're going to lose all your friends. No man is going to want you with 4 kids. As a man, I can move on with 4 kids. But he said nobody's going to want you because you're not an asset, you're a liability.
But him with 4 kids is not. Okay, cool. Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you how good God is.
Mm-hmm.
Said, okay. I stayed just as calm, looking just how you looking over there right now. Just
Mm-hmm.
calm, like, okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Mm.
He ended up and he said, I am going to get back married. And you know what? I'm not gonna be poly. I'm going to marry somebody and I'm gonna give her everything you asked for.
Girl, that is 100% textbook narcissistic behavior. It's
Textbook.
everything that they do in the new relationship is all about you. They're still consumed with you and they want to give that next person everything you wanted so that you can be looking at them and regretting it and all these things, or maybe that you'll come but try to run back to them. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. And that's why it's only been 2.5 years and he's already remarried. But guess what? He married a Black woman, a single woman with how many kids? 4. He had to eat his words. But
Does she look like you, Sharon?
no, she looks
Okay.
like him.
Oh,
I know. I think,
interesting.
well, I'm sorry. That one, right? Look at you. They look like siblings to
Right,
me
that's
and to
what
a
I
lot of other
got, but I
people.
was like, "Oh, that's different."
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. And it's funny. Most people that have seen her was like, they look like family. So, but
See?
why I said God is so good, it was just significant to me throughout this period.
Mhm.
And it's gonna take us to the narcissistic abuse, but he had nowhere to live
Mm.
for a period of time.
He
My
was
children were getting picked up,
he was homeless.
You said what?
You so he was homeless.
Yeah. Oh, well, he drives trucks. So he was just like staying in his truck or at other people's home, like
Mhm.
renting rooms from women, things of that nature.
What happened to his
Um,
apartment? I told you that was all a ploy to get Sharon to beg.
he did get an apartment,
Okay.
but when child support hit, he could not afford that
So
apartment.
he wasn't as great as he thought he was. Hence why he came back to try to threaten you versus saying, "My life is in shambles without you. I'm sorry. Let's make it work."
But this is what I really appreciate
Mhm.
with him making that statement to me about no one's going to want you with 4 kids. No one, when you had nowhere to go, who provided you shelter when you had none? It was a single woman with 4 kids.
Mhm.
When you couldn't come pick up your own kids because you were out of town during your legal obligation, who came to get your children? So then you get married 2 years after a 18-year divorce, because sometimes as women and men do this too, where they'll come in to play the hero. Not saying that love is not there or whatever the case may be, but I can only speak for me. I can't speak for him.
Mhm.
For me, after everything I've been through in 18 years, this has been such a time of healing,
Mhm.
and it's taken me time to get to the power of singleness.
Yes, ma'am.
Me being married 2 years later, I'm sorry, I need more time.
Like, what?
That's just me.
But when you
That
think about it, I could see on his side how marriage benefited him. Marriage gave him structure, marriage gave him comfort, it gave him consistency. He had someone reliable who would care for him.
Yes.
Almost like, and this is not uncommon, men and women do this, where they get in more parental relationships rather than partner relationships. You
Yes.
described him, that's just trying to control me. That sounded like a little boy rebelling against his mother.
Yes, and they bring in stability. I remember an older woman telling me after my divorce, she said, "What you want? You want him to settle down with a good woman. Watch him become a better father."
Mm.
Because they want to show, look at me, they want to show a
Mm.
certain lifestyle. And she
Yep.
said, even though he's going to want to show this other woman this lifestyle, it's going to benefit you.
And benefits your children.
Before she came around, I had missed a couple of trips, not getting the kids, being late, since he got into a relationship, my
Mhm.
kids are picked up on
Mm.
time, dropped off on time. It has helped. I've been like, hey,
Thanks, girl.
I'm y'all biggest fan.
Yep.
If y'all ever going through something, call me. Bring out all the prayer warriors. You hear me? Because I
Mhm.
want y'all to stay together. It has made life better
Yeah.
for me as far as just like not having that, why aren't you here? All of that with him getting it, it went out the window. But
Yeah.
he did exactly what he said he was going to do, which is intentional.
But he
And
thought that he
so,
was doing this to hurt you, and then he had to do it because his ego said, "I told her I'm gonna do this. I can't look stupid. I can't look weak." Now he's boxed himself into this thing, and he's thinking he's fighting you, but it's actually forcing him to grow up. And because y'all were children when y'all met, I don't think he could grow up still being in relationship with you, and nor could you, which is why this time of thankfulness has been more of solitude and healing.
yes. And you just brought up a word that we really do need to talk about, solitude.
Mhm.
So after I filed for divorce, he went on this huge, um,
It was
what
a
do they
smear
call it? He got on
campaign, was
social.
it?
You said
Was
what?
it a smear campaign?
This world smear
Oh, I'm so
campaign.
sorry, sis.
It is such an abusive thing.
Mhm.
When he said, and I didn't know that that was a thing like that, but I know that when I said that I was not going to stay married to him, he said, "Well, you're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose all your friends.
Mhm.
You're gonna lose everybody." And
He was gonna stick to it.
he went on a huge smear campaign. Um, he made posts about my business saying that it was fraud, that I wasn't a real life coach. I was just taking money from women. I'm like, what? It wasn't a year. It was a year later. He apologized to me about that privately. He said it publicly.
You need to match that energy, bro.
And I said, why would you make up something about my business when you know how much of my heart is in that? And I've never had any situation ever with fraud or ever. And I've always I carry a even higher education than some life coaches. And like, what do you mean by false? And he was like, I said, that was a lie. And he said, I know I was just upset. But it wasn't corrected publicly.
Mhm.
And so I had to just let it go. And this is one of the significant things. When he went on the smear campaign, people were contacting me saying,
Mm.
why aren't you doing anything?
Mm.
Why aren't you defending yourself?
Mm.
He's humiliating you.
Mhm. That's a good
Why?
point. He's humiliating himself. He's making himself look bad. That this is the mother of your children. You're dragging her. You are a man, and this is how you're operating. And also the Bible tells us in Exodus 14:14, all you got to do is be still, and God will fight for you.
When you literally just gave me chills, because I am telling you, no matter how many people kept coming to me and saying, Sharon, like, defend yourself. Where is your family? Where's your no? We decided, like, we are not feeding none of this.
Mhm.
None of it.
'Cause that's his
And
game,
I'm not seeing it.
and that's
Yeah,
not
I'm
your
not seeing it.
values or your character. I'm sorry.
Not at all.
Mhm.
Not my values, not my character. But I'm not going to say that my ego was not challenged.
Oh,
And there were
oh,
not late nights where I wanted to be like, I
air it
just want to
out.
tell everybody about what really happening. He also publicly in the smear campaign, he stated that he's the one that ended his marriage
He needed to
when
say
I
that
couldn't
if
even
it's
get
a
him to go to
power
court.
thing. But
Yeah, so
anybody can
that was
go
one of
look
the
up the
things.
paperwork.
So that was one of the things was I'm so happy I freed myself from this, marriage. And um she was financially unstable, and
But you're the man.
and
You're
that was,
supposed to cover it. Well, okay.
yeah, supposed to, but that was one of the things that my ego struggled with,
Mhm.
and it took me a while to forgive or to get over that. I was very irritated
Mhm.
with the narrative, and it took a lot to not say anything, to not, because it's like a lot of the stuff that he stated was financial, but I had a shared bank account my entire marriage.
Mm.
I didn't have my own bank account until I divorced at 38. So my money went to bills.
Mm.
But he put out this whole financial scheme thing. It was just like some of the things that came back to me was like, I cannot believe that he's making up all this stuff about me. And then people will send me not just things on social media, but private messages to show me how far he was going. I was like, this is
But
serious.
this is also a person that's deeply troubled because he's drinking
Very.
chaos, venom, just so much toxicity everywhere that he has nowhere to put it. And that instead of moving on and having a healthy life, he is just really fixed on that. And that's something you gotta get over. I'm glad you got away from it
Oh my gosh,
because
I'm
that type of
so grateful.
toxicity, it wasn't as a parent because you were going with his program. The
Yeah.
moment you started challenging it or you acted outside of it in a way that he didn't expect, he had to use cruelty to get you back in line. That's how narcissistic abuse works, right? Like it's not just in relationships. You see this in business. You see this a lot with
Mhm.
men and men, especially when you have like really dominant men.
Mhm.
See some of these things play out with more stories that are in the headlines. A lot of this behavior and stuff that you see is narcissistic abuse and more than likely rooted in someone's own unresolved trauma of
Yeah.
that they experienced very early on. Um, and again, the way it keeps showing up with women,
Yes.
this is
Mhm.
telling me clearly without that he was victimized. And the reason why I say that is this need for power and control. And to think that he's healing women when really he's acting out his trauma, his resentment towards women. It sounds like to me, if I had to guess, take an educated guess, he was violated by a woman very young. And there was a power dynamic there.
Mhm.
And that's really sad because this is what happens when we don't heal that trauma. Like we don't deserve any of that. And honestly, Imma pray for him. Like, seriously, for his healing, for his soul, so that he can get right, so that this thing can stop. And hopefully he's in a healthier place in this marriage, right? So that this
Okay, so yeah.
that's unresolved, so that we can pluck it up out of the root, get it all up out of there, and that he can fill that back in with what he knows, right? Like,
Mhm.
no matter how far we stray,
Mhm.
if we turn away from sin and go to God, he will welcome us. He has drank enough of that bitter. Hopefully, it will bring him back to the sweet. So even though he's gone down this dark path sexually, and he might be, I've gone too far now to come back. Some people do that, right? And that's how Satan continues to keep them, to trick them into thinking that they're not worthy or that they're too
Mhm.
far gone. The same language he was using on you. He's gonna want you. You want 4 kids, that type of stuff. But if he would run away and come back to God, and you said his family was Christian and, that's how he grew up. Hopefully, right, if you teach a child in the ways, it will not stay with them. Right, excuse me, it won't girl, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? You teach the kids the right
I
thing,
know.
come back around to it.
No.
It'll come up out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it appears, I don't know. I have no idea any inside
Right.
things. I
And you
do know that it appears, or he stated,
Mhm.
um that he gave his life back to Christ, and
Amen.
they're no longer, because I know that when he first got into a relationship with her, they were, he used to brag a lot on, like, and this is just from somebody sending things to me regarding court stuff that we had going on.
Mhm.
Um, but that, he was bragging or just saying, just really happy about her being bisexual. He didn't have to look for the women now, like she would look for
Really gonna
them. And
dig at you.
yeah, and like
She's willing to do what you want. What you want, excuse me.
yeah, so supposedly, and I don't know, um, from what I'm hearing is that they've chosen to not live that life and try to give their life back to Christ. That's the last I heard.
Mhm.
I'm better off with that than because I just say, my kids are not, my oldest is on social media, but it would be posts like, I think there was a video that he posted of her, and she was in the car with him, and she said, "Can we go back to the hotel so that I can suck your," and then this is the kind of stuff that
But
I
he
would not allow online.
But he thinks that this is great, that this makes him look good.
Yeah, because he posted it. But my thing is like,
Of course you
I
have
would
an
not
audience.
want my wife saying something like that and then me posting it. I think it's inappropriate and just why you got kids and stuff. And that was one of the things that I stated is, if you guys are going to be into that and also like soliciting, women like, we're a couple, we like this, we like that, anybody want to come hang out with us tonight. So all of this is on Instagram and Facebook, and supposedly they've now deleted that and
Mhm.
is trying to live a different way. But when I first saw it, I just thought to myself, I don't want no judgment. I don't want to say good or bad. I just felt like this
And
is
you have really
something I would have never been. And so he got what he
but
wanted.
you had a version of this, except that there were she had less resistance,
Oh, a lot
which
less.
means that he
Hmm.
can take her further, faster, and deeper into that sexual deviance. And that he said, okay, well, she's already bisexual. That's less work that I have to do. This is what I fear. We're going to keep praying for them.
Please do.
Mm.
They seem to be doing well. Wonderful thing. And this was a lesson for me too.
Mhm.
In getting to a place of just giving to myself.
Yeah, so this
Um,
is good. Talk to me a little bit about that, what happened when you decided to like choose you, when you decided to rescue yourself.
After the whole smear campaign and all that, I went on a sabbatical. I had a time of solitude.
Mhm.
I got off of social media
Mhm.
for over a year. I want to say about a year and a quarter, a year and 3 months.
Mhm.
I got off of social media. I stopped doing my business because I needed a break. And I told myself I would give myself 1 year.
Mhm.
From that, I will focus in on my job, which I was a clinical director at the time. And just to be able to do what I need to do,
Mhm.
I had to start over from scratch.
What does that mean? Start over from scratch.
Like start over. I moved out of the house that I was in
Mhm.
because it was like way out of my budget.
Mhm.
Um, Found a place, and all this was pretty quick. When I moved out, I
Yeah.
moved into my apartment
That sounds
2 weeks
like
later.
a good idea energetically. So you're not sitting in that same energy that's shared home.
Oh yeah, and my family came through as far as like helping me pack up and all that. But I was also carrying a lot financially
Mhm.
because he just grabbed his clothes and left. Didn't It was a huge 5-bedroom house. Didn't pack up nothing. Didn't help pay for movers. But I'm gonna tell you how good God is. Nobody had to help me pay for movers, anything like that. I moved me and my children out of there. We moved to an apartment, got everything together.
Mhm.
Even since then, I've upgraded even more. I love where I live. The kids love where we are. Um, but there was a process to this.
Mhm.
Okay, financially, and this is also as I lead into that, how we talk about smear campaign and all that. When I told you that I did not, defend myself at
Mhm.
all that financial stuff. I got my own
Yeah.
place, never bills always on time.
Mm.
I didn't have to, I didn't need help. Bought a brand new car, didn't need no cosigner.
Girl, and
Credit
your life
score
got
went up.
easier, it sound like.
My bills were not paid on time until I divorced.
And y'all
It
have been
seemed like
together 18 years.
it's it seemed like, and I've heard other people say this, when you living and doing things in secret and doing things that are hurtful, it's almost like energetically, like money just goes through your fingers.
Mm.
You can't even put it together because it doesn't make sense. If we want to look at the math or whatever, you got an income of two people always having to borrow money from family,
Mm.
cars getting repoed, bills not paid on time, going through an eviction. These are different things that happen. I
Ooh.
moved,
As I'm listening,
didn't need help,
I'm hearing that because there was a lack of
lack of discipline, and it
Mhm.
showed in every area.
Yes.
But to go through this, whole smearing thing and say financially this, financially that, I knew that that was just to get attention of women. But if that's the case, it would have
Also
shown
you.
yeah, it would have shown in my life.
Mhm.
I would not have gone down and I had the same job. But then all of a sudden, You can pay all your bills on time. Your credit score is increasing. I have a beautiful home. I didn't need no cosigner.
Come on, God.
Bought a brand new I didn't need like, and so it's just saying I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to defend. All I had to do was just live my truth. If those things are not true about me, then all you got to do is live your truth and your life reveals itself.
Come on. That's it. That's why they say like that. I don't know where it comes from, but the proof is in the pudding, right? Like you just have to wait for the outcome. That's really all that
Yep.
it is. Like they can
Yeah.
say all the stuff, but just wait. Just wait. You'll
Just
see.
wait.
Just wait.
Just wait.
And
And the only thing you're gonna be feeling burning is your ego. Your ego that want to be like, I'm gonna,
that's not true. Let me say something now. But no, he was really trying to drag you in. And it was also when we're talking about narcissistic abuse, they are really and truly masters of distorting truth. So they will take one thing that's grounded in truth so they can say, but this is truth. And
Yeah.
they'll twist it how they need to twist it to serve whatever narrative that they are putting forward, which leaves you, a person who is operating in her values, to feel like, oh, well, that is true. But also, that's what kept you stuck, I would imagine, several times, because he would take something rooted in truth, and then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yes. So we're going to get to how we had this big change. I told, as far as going into growth, for real, it was through deep levels of accountability. Accountability breeds growth and change, like real change. And a lot of that happened through therapy. So like I said, I went through therapy. My first year, I want to say maybe the first 4 to 5 months was twice a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I really invested in it. And during that time, I was diagnosed with CPTSD, which is complex post traumatic stress disorder. For those that don't know, it's like, PTSD can be, it was like one major event or something that happened versus CPTSD is something that's consistent, like that you're experiencing like over time. So that's that complex post traumatic stress disorder. That was a huge process for me of going through therapy and then going home and reading it and being like, oh my God, this is like real. I cannot believe this. And I knew to do that. And I hope this encourages someone that may be going through something because my life appeared happy, meaning I had this beautiful home, new car, kids are doing good. Man, I divorced. I don't got to deal with his mess no more. I'm enjoying all this, but something felt off. It's like I'm not missing anything. Why am I experiencing like this insomnia like this? Why am I having these bouts of deep sadness? Why are, and depression can go really deep. You start finding your house is ran differently. You can get so bad you barely taking a shower. You can barely get out, go see friends. I just started noticing all these different imbalances. And so I scheduled a doctor's appointment. I wanted to get my blood drawn. I wanted to be able to see if there were different imbalances, if there were things, I needed more of certain vitamin. Is there anything that could be affecting me physically? And I went to the therapist. And yeah, I was okay physically. It did affect blood pressure, which that came up around that time, was blood pressure being higher. But these different things like that was like, whoa for me. When I started studying CPTSD and trauma and going to trauma therapy and managing a behavioral health clinic and being a mom full time and doing all this by myself. And so, but during therapy, what changed me and got me on the right track was being honest about getting to the honest space of why.
Yes.
Not, even though we had this long conversation about all the different things that happened to me and all the different things that he might have done, what things really comes down to is us. Because my hands were never tied. I was never controlled physically in a way where I had to take that. So then the question goes to why? Why would you stay this long?
Okay.
Why would you allow that to happen? What could possibly be happening to make you forgive someone over and over and over?
Okay.
One of the things that was super significant
Mhm.
that gets to that, and this is something I struggle with, a few times where we had separated,
Mhm.
where I was separated, be like, you know what? He cheat. I'm out of here. This, and that. Anytime there was a separation, I would be like, forget it. And with somebody like that.
Mhm.
Same thing. You know, we went through, and I don't even think I mentioned this, but in the beginning when we were 22,
Mhm.
I think I mentioned all the stuff that happened with the chat line.
Mhm.
We separated during that time.
Okay.
And I actually filed for divorce during that time.
Mm.
But I went to MegaFest. It was the first MegaFest with TDJ.
Mm.
And that was one, I went to that whole save your marriage, you're gonna be all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But during that separation, that was my first time of being like, oh, I went to go visit my sister in Kansas.
Mhm.
I was dating, talking to people. I'm just like, I'm not, obviously something must be wrong with me. So I'm going to enjoy myself and this and that. This was something me and my therapist talked about. This
Mhm.
happened a couple of times throughout the marriage. You don't know how to be alone. If there's
I was
some
thinking
type of
that about him
separation,
too.
yeah. And that plays a big part in you staying. What are you so afraid
Mhm.
of? What is
Mhm.
so fearful at its core for you to be alone? That was
Yeah.
just kind of like a
That goes back to program.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Rise and Thrive. Please come back for Becoming Whole, Leaving Toxic Love and Finding Self with Sharon Gladney.